I'm Chris with Oxenane to Increase, and we're in for a treat today. We're going to be talking about the 5 essentials of a healthy, high-performing team. And this is meaty stuff in about 10 or 15 minutes that can be tangibly used moving forward. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Scott Gostchock and Tiffany Weigand of Partner2Learn. These are clients of Oxenane that we get to fractionally represent in the marketplace. Hey, welcome, Scott and Tiffany.
Thanks, Chris. Always a pleasure to be here with you and to be a part of Oxenane this way. So thank you for this opportunity. I just want to talk a little bit about who we are and just give you a brief introduction for myself, and Tiffany will speak for herself. But I've had over 20 years of educational experience being a principal teacher in urban settings, leading teachers, faculty, staff, students, families, communities. And it's been a great adventure for me that way. And that led me into doing more with team development, individual development, leadership training. And I taught at a university for a couple of years, and then now for the last 10 years, really I've been out on my own with different groups and teams, including now Partner2Learn, to go out and work with you and to help you to understand yourself better through your strengths, the strengths of others through our strengths first offering. And then what do we do? Once we understand our strengths and the strengths of others, what do we need to do from there? And that's where this 5 essentials of a team comes in, the ability to now take that, put that into a framework and become that high-performing team that is so focused on your team's results, that gets you excited and pushes you forward to those end destinations. And we're honored and excited to be here with you today. Tiffany, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Absolutely. My name is Tiffany Weigand, and my background is actually in marketing. I worked in corporate America for about 15 years until I went out on my own and did marketing consulting. And in working with a few teams, I started to really see that no matter how good of a marketing plan I was giving them, if they weren't aligned as a team, if they weren't a healthy team, they weren't going to be successful in whatever I did or whatever any other consultant did. So I made the switch about 1.5 years ago, and I'm excited that I did. So we'll actually just jump right into a story that we'd like to share with you. And in the end, our goal is for you to see that team stands for together, everyone achieves more. So we'd like to introduce you to the 5 essentials of a high-performing team. These essentials are what you need for a high-performing, healthy team. So at the start of it, we have trust. And when we talk about trust, we talk about vulnerability-based trust. And what we mean by that is if you're vulnerable, you can admit that you made a mistake, or you can admit that you don't know how to do something. And so often today, that's where a lot of teams fall short. They don't want to admit that they made a mistake. And really, if you think about a pyramid, if trust is at the bottom, if you don't have trust, everything else is going to collapse on itself. So starting with trust is key for everything moving forward. So then you have positive conflict. And that's right. We actually teach that a healthy team requires positive conflict to be healthy. And what we mean by that is conflict needs to be centered around this formula, mv² + I². So conflict needs to be centered around your mission, your vision, and your values, focused on ideas and issues. So it's important that when you're having a conflict, it's not about a personal attack, about not liking someone or somebody specifically, but again, making sure that you're having that discussion. And then as you're having the conflict in closed doors with your leadership team, making sure that as you have that conflict, you come to that decision going forward, and then you can have commitment outside of those doors. And it's a commitment with the team and with the mission. So being very careful that when somebody comes to you and says, well, why did you make that decision? You can say, well, we talked about it and this is what we decided to do. If you don't have commitment, often what you have are people complaining of saying, I don't know who made the decision, it wasn't me, and then pretty soon you don't know what's going on. So you need that true commitment. And then once you have that, you can have accountability. And if you're like me, I grew up hearing accountability and thinking it was a bad word. But we actually want to shift that to think about you matter and what you do matters. So again, accountability is all about the highest form of praise. We want to make sure that you feel like a valued part of the team. Once you have those 4 key essentials, then it comes down to results. And we're talking about team results, making sure that, again, as a team, you can achieve so much more together rather than what you can do on your own. So I'd like to share with you one case study, a client that we worked with starting last year. So they were a new charter school that received approval to open their doors in as early as 2019, but they were recommended to open in 2020. So this new school, they made the decision that they were going to have an aggressive goal to open their doors with about 6 months to enroll children. So you have this new team that's formed. There's this lack of trust. They don't really know each other. They were still trying to figure out how to work best with each other. So obviously there's a lot of inefficiencies. And in some cases, there was even a lack of alignment when you're talking about strategy across all departments. So what did that look like financially? So their goal was to enroll 100 students within 6 months. As they did this, they knew this would be a difficult challenge for them, but they wanted to see if they could attain it. In year one, they only enrolled 55 students. However, if you're looking at it financially, that was a $12,000 approximately funding deficit per student. So they were losing about $540,000. So they were facing a significant deficit budget in year one. However, I'm excited to report some good news as we'll talk to you a little bit as we go through about what we saw as we worked with them. But then the other challenge, in addition to enrolling the students, was what is the cost to bring in new faculty, to recruit, hire, and train? So you're looking at some costs there of about $24,000 per staff. So I'll turn it over to Scott to tell you a little bit about what we did with them.
The 101 too here is that we came in and worked with strengths for everyone, helping them to understand their strengths, the faculty and staff. So their strengths for themselves and their strengths for the team by utilizing Clifton's strengths and our strengths first approach. So now they understood their strengths, how they best operate. They understood the strengths of the others and how that all worked together as a team, and that began to build trust. And that led us into 103, which is building that trust, positive conflict, commitment, accountability for the team, accountability for team success. And that then was the 5 essentials that we took them through as a team to help build that foundation, continue to say, here's how we now pull together all these strengths into a team format. And then we did some ongoing executive coaching to develop some key leaders there. And next, we're going back and aligning everyone with mission, vision, values, and a dynamic strategic plan that'll be coming into this coming year to give full alignment. So through this process, through going in and working strengths first with them, through building the healthy team through the 5 essentials, they're now looking at an enrollment of over 80 students coming into this coming year, with hopefully even more increases to come. And so when you talk about that in dollars and cents, again, with each student receiving certain funding, increasing by another 25 to 30 students equates to almost $300,000 in increased revenue. So that school can do more with their students, do a better job of reaching out into the community and making that positive difference. So when you look at this, again, what you have is you have the individual and team strengths. That's a 90-minute one-on-one session, and then 4 hours with the entire team to pull the team together, and then 2 hours each quarter to keep it living, to keep it functioning. With the team building, the investment of time, the client's commitment there is to have 4 hours of initial training, and then 2 to 4 hours every quarter as follow-up. And the 2 to 4 hours every quarter is to help build in different resources, to do things to increase trust, to do things to increase the ability to have positive conflict, to do things to increase commitment and accountability leading to those team results. Then the executive coaching that we do for different leaders in any environment, any business, any group is roughly 30 hours a year. It can vary a little bit depending upon the individual needs and how much might be coming up for them. But it's a really neat program of coaching where it's actually almost like a class format, like a graduate class format, where you're going through transformational leadership, where you're going through different pieces that help you to become a better leader and give you all the resources with it, as well as deal with day-to-day life pieces and information. And then with that, on top of that, once you're a healthy individual and a healthy team, that's when we can do that strategic planning. And that strategic planning is very quick hitting, 12 hours on site, 4 hours quarterly follow-up, about 2 hours of pre-work, and you walk away with a 10-year plan that walks you out 10 years, but gets you back to what do I need to do in the next 90 days in order to be reaching my 1 year, my 3 year, my 10-year targets. So again, we help you with that. And as people have said, many times with strategic planning, eyes are glazed over and people just fear and have trepidation with that. It's the exact opposite with what we do. We take away that fear and give you a living plan. So between knowing your strengths, building the team, doing some coaching, and putting together a plan, it is unbelievable the results and the turnarounds that come for teams and organizations through all that's being done.
So I'd like to share with you some of the success that this client was facing. And as Scott had already mentioned, the enrollment has already increased this year by 25 students. And thinking about the environment that we're in right now with COVID and so much uncertainty, to see that they're able to have an increase is phenomenal. So that increase is about $300,000 in funding right there. And I'm hearing that they're enrolling more students each week. So it's exciting to continue to see that evolve. So then here are some other quotes that I've heard from the charter school staff as well. Trust has increased. They have a more positive, inclusive culture. We identified who was in alignment and how to strengthen the team. The key here is that some of the individuals that were with us last year are no longer with them. So being aware that at some times you need to reevaluate your staff and you might need to bring new people in, whether it's replacing people or adding other people to the staff as well. And then lastly, now that the right people are in place, we need to align everybody and develop our strategy. So as Scott was mentioning, we're coming in and working with them on their strategic plan as well.
And with all of that being said, again, additional services that we can provide for you, for your company, for your organization, for your team, for anything that is out there is some keynoting and educational speaking, 360 reviews and coaching. So 360 reviews where everyone gives input and helps you to become a better leader for the team and the coaching to go with it. And on-demand coaching for job seekers. In our environment today where so many people are out of work or underemployed, we can be there to help you in your seeking of new jobs and new positions to really fulfill and maximize and utilize your strengths. With that all being said, I'd like to turn it back to Chris, and Chris, take us home, please.
Hey, Dr. Scott and Tiffany, thank you so much for the investment of your stewardship time. And thank you, listening audience, to this Oxenane Brief. As you can see, this is incredible, tangible resources. If you'd like to just have a safe discussion to entertain the prospect of perhaps enhancing the performance of your existing team, perhaps and things that they didn't mention, but the assumptions that I can see out of this. I mean, how hard is it to find talent, let alone retain talent in the marketplace today? And I can see how this can potentially help retain the existing talent that we have, while at the same time not having to spend 500% more energy and resources finding talent and getting that trained up to speed. And then the profitability that you showed in the example here today, I'm sure can be translated in numerous vertical markets across. Just give us a call at 612-695-9176 or visit our website, oxenane.com, spelled AUXANEIN.com, or send me an email at info@oxenane.com. Until next month, this has been an Oxenane Brief with an emphasis focusing on Partner2Learn. Hey, thanks so much.